If you've ever been scrolling on Pinterest and you've seen this wall backdrop made of books, you want to make this for your own personal studio build for YouTube or in general your own podcast. In this video, we're going to show you how to create a book wall backdrop. We're going to show you the types of materials that you'll need, as well as the effort that it's going to take to be able to accomplish this from A to Z, so that your books don't just all fall off at the end because you missed some steps. So make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see the results, but we are going to show you exactly how to do it, starting off with our planning, our measurements, and the materials that we need. So let's get to it.
First thing we want to do, we want to figure out what size wall you're doing, because it's going to help you figure out how much plywood do I need. We want to take this backdrop all the way from that wall. This is 59 inches here. So a sheet of plywood is 4 feet long. So for us, we're going to have 2 sheets of plywood to be able to do this. The other measurement you're going to want to figure out is your height. We're having our wall stop here. There's actually going to be a couch in front of this. So we're coming up to our absolute tallest height, and we're coming down to figure out where we need to go. And for us, we're stopping at 81 inches. A sheet of plywood, again, is 8 feet tall, so we don't need to worry about height-wise. But again, we were wider than 1 sheet, so we need at least 2 sheets of plywood here to be able to cover up our space. So step 1 is understanding how big of a space am I trying to build a wall, and then we can reverse engineer from there to figure out how much materials do I need to accomplish that.
So we're gonna be getting half a plywood sheet, tape measure, pencil, circular saw, double-sided tape to hold the faces together, drape rod,
1-inch screws for the books,
rod hangers, and glue gun. So that is pretty much what we're looking at for what we're gonna get here at Lowe's.
Let's get into our cut. All right, guys, so we got our sheet of plywood laid out here. We had to make 2 cuts on 2 sheets. So our first sheet, we're gonna use the full width. So the width is great. The only issue is it's too tall. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna mark our measurements down of the height. So we had 81 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a mark right here at 81. And make a couple marks at 81 inches across this board. So on a sheet of plywood, I like to do 4 marks. I'm gonna go ahead and take a straight edge here, line up my marks, draw my line right at 81 inches. So as you can see, there's our cut line. So what we did is this plywood is propped up off the concrete a little bit. We don't need it that high, just enough so we're not cutting on the concrete. One of the things I did is I readjusted the blade height here, so it's just enough to go through the plywood. All right, so now we're cutting our second board. This board is, not only is it too tall, but it's also too wide. So we're gonna make 2 separate cuts here. We're gonna start with the height cut first. So just like last time, we're gonna mark 81 inches, line up my marks. So we had a 59-inch width is what we wanted our wall to be. That first sheet, they come 48 inches. So what I gotta do is take that full size I want, 59 minus 48, and I get 11 inches. So I have to cut an 11-inch sliver out of this piece. Now we got our sliver here, the proper width that we need. That's that step, cutting your board. The next step we need to do is we need to identify where the studs are onto this wall. We try to just take that plywood, just start randomly shooting screws here into the drywall. It's not gonna hold anything. There's a good chance the whole thing's gonna fall off the wall. Even if it temporarily stays up for any period of time, if you're not hitting the studs, it's not gonna be where it needs to go. We personally like Zircon Stud Finder. It's a great stud finder. It's nice, economical, easy to use. It's very simple. You just press this power button, and what I'm gonna do, use it on the wall. I'll mark where this stud is. We're gonna keep coming. So if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have a stud finder, you're not necessarily sure where the studs are, we know that this area is gonna be covered up with a wall. So we don't gotta be too concerned about putting some holes in here. There's kind of an old school method of knocking on the wall to try to find where a stud goes, and you can hear an area where it gets more solid, like right here. You take a drill, a screw, drill a hole into the wall, and then we're hitting a stud. I can feel it, it starts to bite. You can feel the screw sinking into something. Now, just to show you, that's not sinking, it's not pulling. And if I go to reverse it, there's nothing there to pull it out. So I literally have to get it pressure to pull it back out. So that's nothing. So now we found where our first stud is. We've laid out the rest of the wall, and I'm gonna transcribe these same measurements onto our plywood, make a nice straight line where the studs are, so that way when we are holding it up, we know where to screw our nails or our screws to get it fastened to the wall. Let's get to it.
Okay, so now let's break down everything that we did for this wall and how we properly installed it. You just saw how we cut the materials to make sure that everything was good. Once we did that, we took our books and we laid them out. We laid out the first row to make sure that everything would be solid as far as alignment. We then ended up, if you take a look here, basically what we did was we screwed in. We took like a little bit of the pages, we screwed them in, and then we adhered them with some double-sided tape. Now, each one of these designs does not have to be perfect. Each one of these are just folded pages, and eventually the pages, they get really tight because each one pushes up against one another. So that's kind of a way that you can make sure that if you go to leave, that these are all solid and tight. We tried to like change up the overall aesthetic for each one of them. We added some lighting fixtures to add some uplights to things, and all these books are super secured to the back. It's basically souped up origami. If you found this video helpful and you want to build your own book wall, make sure to drop a comment on the things that you're unclear about or you still need help with. And if you found these designs really helpful, we do full gear breakdowns as well as designs for your backdrop. We did a installation of veneer fluted paneling that you can check out and how to add LEDs to that. So if you liked this, make sure to check that out. Additionally, not even just this wall, but we are doing a full breakdown of this entire room. So you can check that video out as well. I'm going to drop it into the description. You can check out that full video breakdown of how we built this entire podcast set. I'm Manager John, and I'll see you on the next video.